You're watching CTV News Calgary.
At what point is a teenager just acting out, and when is it criminal? Also, how do parents of kids in trouble navigate the legal system? The answers to those and a lot more questions are now being offered by Legal Aid Alberta. Karen McGowan joins us now. She's leading a webinar about this on Wednesday for parents. Karen, thanks for being here. And now you say the legal system isn't really designed to allow parents to discipline or guide their kids. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is the criminal justice system isn't there to fill the gap for difficulties in disciplining young people. Some parents might believe that having a young person charged will help them better discipline their children by perhaps having curfew conditions added, that kind of thing. But the criminal justice system isn't set up to do that, and judges and justices of the peace can only set conditions where they're appropriate, but not simply because your child's not coming home before their curfew, kind of thing.
Do you think there still is parents that have that scared straight mentality, thinking, you know, if my kid does something, if they're shoplifting, call the cops, let them get scared into seeing how things operate? Is that a good idea? Do you think, is that effective?
Well, that's a very bad idea. Once police are involved, the fate is out of the parent's hand. It's now in the hands of the criminal justice system. So, for instance, let's say the parent called the police for putting a hole in the wall or something like that. Once the police are involved, it's out of the parents' hands and charges will be laid. And parents and teens need to understand that criminal records don't magically disappear when they reach 18, that it can go beyond their 18th birthday, even though they were convicted when they were a teenager. Now,
what about those parents, or probably other people too, saying, look, I don't care if someone's 17 and a half, they're basically a marginally younger adult, and they should be tried as such. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that teenagers should be treated as if they're little adults. What they are is big kids. Just like their physical bodies are changing, so are their brains and their development. They're moving away from an impulse kind of behavior to the logical reasoning that we grow when we're adults. And I think it's important to recognize that just because a young man, a teenager, happens to be 6 feet tall and weigh 180 pounds, that doesn't mean that his mental capacity is similar to that of someone who's in their 30s.
You've been doing this for decades. How overwhelming is it for families who are suddenly dealing with the justice system because of, maybe a mistake their kid made or something like that?
It can be quite overwhelming, both to the parents and the teenagers, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this public webinar, is to arm parents and their teenagers to know what their rights are, what protections are there, and also what resources are available in the event that your child is going down a wrong path, that there are certain interventions that we at Legal Aid can assist you in finding those resources to help you before things get out of control.
Can you talk more about the webinar? How do people get involved? What can they expect if they log in?
So the webinar will be at noon on Wednesday this week, and all they need to do is go to legalaidalberta.ab.ca. Sorry, Legal Aid Alberta at, oh my goodness.
We'll get it up there. We'll show it on screen if you can't recall offhand.
But they can register up to and including the day of. So anytime between now and Wednesday, they can register.
How many people do you hope to see taking part in that?
I think the last count that we had was somewhere in like the 180 range.
Wow.
So we're actually been getting a pretty good reception on this.
And I'm sure you would have seen this firsthand. You've been doing this for a couple of decades. And even for myself, when I've covered court stories and you happen to see young people in there, it's sad, isn't it? You see parents who are confused and scared, teenagers who are confused and scared. How difficult is it, just in general, as you've seen this, for people to go through this whole process and actually emerge with sort of a sense of satisfaction?
Satisfaction coming from the parents' point of view or from the teenager's point of view?
I suppose people coming out of there feeling that they can get back to a normal life at some point and move on.
Well, I think it's important to know that the Youth Criminal Justice Act is set up to rehabilitate and reintegrate young people into society so that their criminal past from youth does not follow them deep into adulthood. What is important to recognize, though, is, as I said, the record doesn't magically disappear at the age of 18. There's an access period, and if they commit a new criminal offense after their 18th birthday, then that youth record can follow them into adulthood.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us today. We'll get this information out there for people that want to take part. There it is right
Thanks
there.
for having me.
Okay, Legal Aid Alberta. That's a free public webinar called Teens in Crime, What to Do When Bad Behavior Turns Criminal. That's on Wednesday from noon to 1. Registration online at legalaid.ab.ca. You can also go to their website or find them on Twitter.